Have you ever wondered how people build all this cool stuff in Planet Coaster? Stuff like this. Well, let me tell you. Building cool shit in Planet Coaster requires exactly 3 things. 1. The intelligence of a fox. 2. The mind of a conqueror. And 3. The looks of a naked mole rat. Now, I am fortunate enough to inherit all 3 of these traits, but there is another secret. It's called thinking outside the box. Now, who's that having an idea here? Good job, Silex. Let's see how the others are doing. Never mind. So, if you want a little demonstration, join me today as I show you how to transform that into this. Using only the weirdest of pieces to give our Helion Ring an unparalleled touch. Welcome back everyone to Use This, Not That. Hello friends, this is your boy A to the Brizzle, and you might be wondering, where's Warren all this time? I don't know. She went to buy cigarettes and never returned. That was 2 weeks ago. Hope she's alright. But enough chit chat. Let's have a look at the pieces that we will use to transform our Helion Ring into something truly special. Let's get started. Since our Helion Ring exists only in an empty, endless void, we will start off by making a custom floor. I used the vintage tower column as a base because its hexagon shape allows for a nice and interesting design. The rusty steam shovel base adds a dark and gritty touch to it. Ooh. I then slapped a smaller tower column in the center to cover that Z-fighting and took things even further by adding a clock for absolutely no reason other than it looking pretty cool. Group it together like your favorite boy band, copy it around, and just like that you have one of the coolest floors you've ever seen today. Next up, we're tackling the walls. Normally trains and walls don't go too well together, but I don't care. We take the locomotive hopper and tilt it slightly for no particular reason. Copy one right next to it and use a locomotive track for the base of our fence. Fill in the gap with a real fence for once and finish it off with some chains on top. Nice! I grabbed another locomotive hopper and turned it to reveal its naked underside. Copy and paste again, and just like that we have a super unconventional wall. That makes no sense at all, but it looks great. Choo choo, mother flipper! This train is arriving on time. Flip it up, copy it to the other side, squeeze them together tightly, and give birth to a unique tower that consists of only 2 pieces. However, it still feels a little bit bland. So what goes well together with trains and train tracks? Right, homeless people. But since we don't have them in the game, I'm going to use the lowrider car instead. Their bottom textures give us a great sci-fi look. Seriously, you should turn pieces around more often. That's a pro tip for free, right here. After the base of our tower is covered, we used some shorter track piece to trim our very flat window and make it more three-dimensional. I figured that this window now needs a window planter, and knowing my planet coaster like the inside of my underpants, the first thing I thought of was a large crown. I'm sure you had the same idea. Dangle some chains for some randomness, add another train track piece for further detail, and boom! The hardest part of this build is done. And it wasn't even hard now, was it? I placed the wall behind our Flatride, copied it, and then snapped it for exactly 9 steps at a distance of 4, which seemed to work out perfectly in this case. Now I'm going to use the good old circle trick again to surround the Helion Ring and then delete half of it, leaving us with a half circle and a wide opening in front so that even the most obese guests can enter the ride. Just kidding. We'll fence it off later. To fill up the gaps and make the build look much more complicated than it is, I used another car to build more towers. This time I put an upside down crown on top. Place them however you like and vary them in height so the whole thing doesn't seem so repetitive. You are, after all, the master of this mechanical disaster. Time for my long mechanical earthworm to see the light of day. Oh, and if you thought that'd be a bunch of jokes and innuendos now, you're dead wrong. And I absolutely did not have a previous version of this video with naughty jokes which, after carefully reviewing, I had to delete in order to avoid jail time. Anyway, I grabbed the locomotive, copied it, and did what I do best. Circle, circle, blah blah blah. I've always said what I'm doing was easy. In order to create a hole for the worm to gently slide in, I used the hoppers once again. And the circling. Are you bored yet? Add the different worm sections together to extend it and then put it however you want. I decided on this shape. Oh, and I added a clock in its face so that it knows when it's time to eat you.
Nom nom.
I used smaller crowns as planters to cover the ride's entrance and exits and made our usual fence to complete our wonderful creation. Lastly, I felt the Helion Ring itself was still a bit boring, so I added a chain link fence with a chain attached to it to do my usual thing. I'm not gonna say it anymore. I added some of our, as we Germans call it, Schnickschnack to the bottom of the Flatride and added some foliage to give it that overgrown vibe. Dune meets Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dune. Simple, yet
Breathtaking.
And that concludes today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to keep this stuff coming. And make sure to join Warren and I for our park tour very soon. And if you haven't done so yet, also make sure to check out our previous episode. That's it, so until then, thanks for watching, have a good one, and see you around.